Hello, my name is Charla Howes, and I am the founder of Cardiovascular Disease Prevention Services. Today in this podcast, I will be talking about a few risk factors for heart disease, and will also share some of the symptoms that can occur with a heart attack. This podcast will feature a true story about my husband, Jeff, who had a heart attack while boating at Pineview Reservoir in 2007. He was only 37 years old. Jeff had high cholesterol, but was otherwise healthy, although he did enjoy eating out a few times a week, but, who can blame him? To celebrate our youngest son's 4th birthday, our family went to Pineview Reservoir with my parents for a day of boating, tubing, and skiing. Jeff took a turn water skiing, and I happily snapped a bunch of pictures to add to the scrapbook. When Jeff became tired, he signaled that he was done, and we swung around to pick him up in the boat. I noticed that he had a concerned look on his face after climbing back into the boat. He began stretching his arm across his chest and asked for a drink of water. He thought he may have pulled a muscle. I didn't think much of it and went out on the tube for a ride with our daughter. 5 minutes later, Jeff told my dad that his chest was hurting. He also felt like he had something stuck in his throat and kept asking for water. Jeff had a feeling that his symptoms might be more serious than a pulled muscle and decided we better go to the hospital. My father drove the boat to the shore, and I ran uphill as fast as I could to get our car. Jeff was sure that I could drive to McKay-Dee Hospital in Ogden faster than waiting for an ambulance to come to the reservoir. I drove Jeff down the canyon, and his pain intensified and started radiating down his arm. He told me that it felt like an elephant was standing on his chest. I was so scared. He gave me directions to the hospital, and I dropped him off at the emergency room door. By the time I parked the car and ran inside, he was already being hooked up to an electrocardiogram or EKG machine. He was rushed into surgery, where he had a stent placed in an artery that was 100% blocked. Jeff had had a heart attack. I was strictly told at a later time that we should have called an ambulance because they have the necessary equipment and skills to help if a person goes into cardiac arrest. Jeff's cardiologist later asked why he wasn't taking his cholesterol medication. Jeff mentioned that he really didn't like how the medication made him feel. His doctor gave him a very stern look and told him to update his will and pack his bags for the hospital if he decides not to take the necessary medications, because he would certainly have another heart attack. That was a very sobering comment for both of us. I am happy to report that Jeff has diligently taken his prescribed medications for the last 14 years. Still, he has had 2 additional stents placed during that time, but he is still alive, and I am so thankful. Jeff's initial risk factors were having high cholesterol and being a little overweight. Other known risk factors for heart disease are high blood pressure, high blood sugar, diabetes, alcohol or tobacco use, not getting enough physical activity, and eating a diet that is high in saturated fats, trans fats, and cholesterol. As I share this personal story, I recognize that some of our listeners may have experienced tragedy or loss in their families from heart disease. My heart goes out to you. We were lucky that my husband was so young because his arteries hadn't hardened with age. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. It is also preventable and treatable with a doctor's care. Please contact your doctor today if you see that you are at risk for heart disease. Honestly, it can happen to anyone at any age. Thank you for listening to this personal experience. If you have questions about other risk factors or symptoms of heart disease, please go to our website, www.cvdpreventionservices.com. Our website provides healthcare resource options and links for provider services in your area. Thank you for your time.